everybody. We are back with some live footage. We are joined now with some fabulous cosplayers, fans of Fayetteville Comic-Con, who have taken the time out of their evening to make sure that they get a chance here to talk about cosplay, to talk about the importance of cosplay and how cons in general have grown to be extremely inclusive of cosplayers. And I don't imagine, I can't imagine a convention without it. I've been to comic book shows that are, you know, smaller in a room, just comics. I can get that, but a full experience must have cosplayers. So introducing first in to my left, your right, over there. This Hollywood Squares thing is gonna get me. But Shara, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Shara. You can find me online everywhere as Red Penguin Cosplay because I'm not super creative on that front. I live in Durham, but I am born and bred from Fayetteville, North Carolina myself. I work over at Chapel Hill with our international student population, and I have been cosplaying since I was in middle school, actually. Just a fun way to express myself and something a little bit different. Having been a theater kid at that time, that's always been important to me.
So tonight you're cosplaying Zatanna?
Yes, Zatanna from DC Comics, Justice League Dark, however you might know her.
I know her real well. I mean, I've known Zatanna through DC Comics before Justice League Dark, but as a fan of John Constantine, Deadman especially,
Yes.
has always been one of my favorites, and Swamp Thing and that run of Justice League Dark, as well as it has very well represented in the animated Justice League. So next, Tomisina.
Hello, I am Tomisina Lynn. I run the gigantic photo booth at most conventions. I live in Durham. Every convention. We're trying. I live in Durham. Well, by night, I'm a professional photographer. By day, I'm also a professional photographer for school picture company, Strawbridge Studios. And actually, everyone who is in the booth with me also works there. So family business indeed for us.
So let me ask you a question just before we get to the thing. How has that business been really affected by isolation? Because I assume a lot of school and that type of photography got crazy blown away by not being able to go to school and have pictures taken.
Yeah, it was totally crazy. Never thought I'd ever see the day when all of schools would close. Our company is in about 22 to 25 states and everything shut down. We were able to keep the lab going because everything that was, photographed came in and had to go somewhere. And we had to furlough a good amount of people and went from a big operation of about 250 people to about 20. So if you've ordered senior pictures, they're coming.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's one of the things that I think people really need to remember is it's not just your local restaurant that you weren't able to get to, but all industry has been affected by this. And so, yeah, I really feel for all of your coworkers, Thomasine, and I hope everything gets back, hopefully, to some semblance. But I know that with the skill and talent you bring behind the lens, it'll all be awesome.
We're gearing up for senior photography coming soon, so we're getting there.
That's right, because pictures,
camera.
Senior photos are taken usually in the fall. That's right. I forget that. I look nothing like my senior photo and graduation and my senior photo look completely different for a bunch of reasons: hair, height, growth spurts. We don't need to worry about that. Serena, thank you for joining us. Where are you zooming in from? Who are you cosplaying? What's your story?
So I actually, it's been chaotic the last couple months. I basically had to yeet myself out of my college campus and quickly move back into my parents' place because of all that's going on. So I barely have anything set up and I have boxes everywhere. I am a theater major at UNCG. At least I was until March. I am a costuming major. I am dressed as Ariel. She's a Disney princess.
Now, UNCG, for everybody who may be watching this not local to the North Carolina, UNC Greensboro, correct? An amazing theater and theater arts program.
Yeah, we unfortunately had to cancel every single production for the rest of the semester, and we canceled them right after I finished my own personal production assignment for The Tempest in February. So I got to finish mine, and then everything else got canceled for the rest of the semester, which was horrible. Looking forward to going back and getting to put stuff on the stage again. I miss it.
Yeah. And that's definitely hit other members of our Fayetteville family to share with you. Thomas, you may know Hector Murray of Faith and Fandom. Hector is well known on the cosplay scene. He was actually cast as the Cowardly Lion in a production of The Wizard of Oz down in Lumberton, and they did their first table read, and then that was it. So they rescheduled for next year. My own daughter's theater program at Longleaf School of the Arts, she was set to do Into the Woods, where she's on the costuming crew, which is sort of a Grimm's fairy tales meets Disney princesses meets farce. Just a really cool production. So they're still going to try to do that this summer, but who knows when.
Fingers crossed.
So, Shara, you're coming at cosplay from having cosplayed since middle school, obviously a fan of some fandoms. Tomisina, you're coming at cosplay first as a professional photographer. Did you cosplay before you picked up a camera?
Photography was first.
And then what led you to just getting that more of a connection with the Comic-Con or animes or Anime Con type crowds?
I started working with a character entertainment company called Enchanted Wishes out of Raleigh, and I started as their photography partner first of all, and there was a need for a character, and someone turned to me and was like, "You could do that." I was like, "I can't do that," and then I was like, "Yes, I can do that." So then I doing all kinds of characters because I was photographing a lot of the characters and princesses and superheroes were in the cosplay community. So they were like, "I'm making this costume, let's go shoot it." I'm like, "Yes." So then dove in. There was a convention maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe more than that, that said, nobody's ever done this before, let's do a photo booth where you're photographing in it and printing, and we have everything right there. And I was like, okay. And it worked out amazing, and we've grown so much since then, and we have many conventions that we go to now. So
including Fayetteville Comic-Con. We had been looking forward to seeing you in the spring. We had finally kind of worked out that position and load in and first in first out, a great spot. I was really excited because I knew I didn't have to worry about it anymore. It was just going to happen, but didn't have to do that. Serena, what was your first convention?
Next time. Animazement of 2015? 14? 15, I believe. Yes. I got into cosplay for a hilarious reason. I was a dumb weeb in high school, and I did not leave my house ever because I'm an introvert, and I still don't leave my house unless it's to take pictures with Tommy. And my mom walked into the room, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Animazement this year?" And I was like, "What is that?" She goes, "It's like a big anime convention for all you weebs and stuff. Why don't you know what this is? I know what this is, and I'm not into that stuff." And I was like, okay, sounds fun. Sure. She goes, "Make sure you order yourself a costume on Amazon or something to wear. Don't be lame. Go cosplay and stuff." And I was like, okay. So I ordered myself a costume, and I cosplayed Blake Belladonna from Ruby to my very first convention at Animazement, and I went down the rabbit hole from there. It became an absolute obsession and addiction from that moment on.
That's awesome. So we've crossed paths. I've been to almost every Animazement over the last 10 years or so. I think there's a couple in there I missed just because of conflicts. And again, for as we're broadcasting this, who knows who's going to show up and watch all this stuff? Maybe worldwide. Animazement, great, one of the largest anime focused Japanese culture focused festivals in the United States. I would even hazard to guess in Raleigh, North Carolina, at the Raleigh Convention Center. Again, forced to postpone this year until 2021. There's some amazing things I love about Animazement. For me, I love the charity auction that they always do. I always get a chance to find a lot of great things, as well as the artist alley in Animazement. It's just a lot of great production. And then obviously I get a lot of mochi and all those other things that I want from that Japanese side. What other properties have you or fandoms have you, Serena, cosplayed in that anime space? I know my daughters have done Love Live, Danganronpa, some of those others. What are some of your other favorites?
You just want anime cosplays?
Yeah, just for the time being, what are some of your favorite top 3 anime cosplays?
All right, gotta give me a second to think because I've literally cosplayed over 40 things. I gotta sort through the catalog in my head. Okay, if we're counting Ruby as an anime, then I put Cinderfall as #1 because that was my #1 cosplay that made me blow up on the internet and go viral.
I was just sticking with Serena's point there because she's made that it's gone viral. Now there we go. We're back. Go ahead. You said that's the one that made you go viral.
Yes, her voice actor retweeted me and complimented my costume, and I was like,
Nice.
I'm sorry, my internet connection is a bit spotty. Let me think. Okay, so Cinderfall. I'm trying to sort through the catalogs of like comic books, video games, anime, TV shows.
So a little bit of everything. You've got a wide fandom that you represent in your cosplay. So where can we follow you? What are some of your
I am
Frozen Ariel
genuinely cannot remember.
It's not my fault.
So
what?
So Serena, we did get this, but when you get them, chime back in. But I'm going to jump up to the other corner to Shara. You talked a little bit about being a theater kid cosplay. What other cosplays are you excited about doing that you're either working on now, or what's that next 1 or 2 that you're thinking about?
So I'm probably getting super ahead of myself. I've been really wanting to do a cosplay from Firefly lately. And so I have recently cut all my hair off, which is not conducive to that front, but I've been really wanting to do Zoe for that. I've wanted to do a really old video game series called Harvest Moon. They have a harvest goddess, and she has very long purple hair and very ombre, white, silky like dresses, and I want to make one of those really bad. So I've never worked with that before, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that soon. So those are 2 that are kind of on my list, hoping to see soon, and not a billion different variations of Poison Ivy, which is what I do a majority of the time.
Well, Poison Ivy is everywhere, especially here in the North Carolina woods. That was a disc golf joke. Regardless, Tomisina, you could have laughed at my joke, but I don't mind that you didn't. So the favorite characters that you've played, I know that you're spending a lot of your time behind the camera, but as you were getting involved with the production group there, just which ones really spoke to you? What do you still, if I asked you to come out in another cosplay tomorrow, what would it be?
I had a hard time thinking today. Elsa is obviously one of my favorites, one of my first. Tinkerbell, I got to revamp her a little bit over quarantine because I'm still working. Aurora's another one of my favorites.
So yeah, for like if you were to do a group cosplay, obviously Tinkerbell would be a great one with all the the other fairies, Fawn, and help me with some of those others. But that's great group cosplay. Shar, have you ever been part of a group cosplay?
I have. We did going back to DC. Sorry, I'm all comic books lately. We did a DC Bombshells group at was it 1 year ago actually at GalaxyCon Raleigh with some friends of mine from college and some other people I hadn't met. We just kind of all got together after the first time in a while and all picked a character, and it came together, and it was really, really fun. The actual artist was there, and so we got to take a picture with him in our costumes. Just super cool experience. That was my most recent group. I did a group
too the previous year at that same convention. I was in a Punk Sailor Moon group, and we won like the best group costume 2 years prior. I was Punk Sailor Saturn. By the way, I finally got my gigantic list up of everything I've done. I really just cannot remember off the top of my head because it's so long. Top 3, Cinderfall, Bishamon, and then Volpina. Those are my top 3.
Volpina is
from Miraculous Ladybug. It's like a French cartoon.
Right. That's why I was trying to remember Miraculous Ladybug. and Cat Noir have been very really cool cosplays to see. And then obviously some of the supporting characters that you may not know from that first season
Yeah.
that was really more focused on just Cat and Miraculous, Ladybug. But
Yeah.
such a great, I don't want to call it anime, I don't want to call it cartoon, but just a great
It's hard
animated
to distinguish
program
sometimes.
that I know is just very well written, and I think very well delivered and very friendly. One that I've often recommended to people, and they say, well, my daughter wants to watch some anime, but I don't want anything violent or anything. I'm like, well, I mean, if you are just looking for great animated content besides Studio Ghibli, and everybody needs to be get their Totoro on, in my opinion. But Miraculous is a great one. So that's great that you chose that as one of your top 3. That's awesome. Now, the same question I asked Shara, what do you have coming up? What's your in that list? Are there things that you new cosplays? What's next?
Is that directed at me?
Yes.
Or
At you, Serena.
yeah, me? Okay. Sorry, I can't hear you very well. Okay. So right now, I am currently constructing Enlightened One Byleth, the female version from Fire Emblem Three Houses. It is a gigantic, massive, ridiculous costume of basically royal robes and hand-painted leather things and armor, and I'm going to have to make a gigantic sword, and I'm going to attempt to make it light up, and that's what I'm working on right now.
That's amazing. I am trying to put together a Moon Knight, one of my favorite Marvel characters, Mark Spector Moon Knight, but there's a version where he's in the second to the most recent volume that came out of his character in Marvel Comics. He actually has just a white suit and the hood with the crescent, and just it's kind of like Moon Knight evening wear, and I really want that, but I also need to get in a little better shape before I'm comfortable in that suit. So it's obviously been difficult. Everybody's got plans. You talked about college friends being able to join you for cosplay. You talked about not being able to be with everybody. I know there's a great anime shop in Greensboro I've been to that does some great anime nights. I know they do some cosplay nights, and I forget the name of that shop at the minute. And obviously Tomisina, with not being able to participate as a photographer in these events, what can each of you, and I'm just going to start with Serena, go to Tomisina, then end with Shara. There's a lot of young people that want to get into cosplay, want to enjoy cosplay, but sometimes, and never from any of you and never from Fayetteville Comic-Con, but they get discouraged. There is a little bit of that thing. But what advice could you give to a young cosplayer, male or female, who's really wants to do a bigger cosplay, really wants to build a sword that lights up, or wants to get that big flowing gown and and stuff? But start with you, Serena, just some advice for the next generation of cosplayers that's coming up.
Sure. So I've been cosplaying for about 5 years, and I'm the type of person to where when I start something new, if I'm not immediately good at it, I get really frustrated and rage quit and put it down and have to step aside and like reorient myself and then try to force myself to get back into it again. So when I started out with cosplay, I did not know how to make weapons. I didn't know how to make armor, knew nothing about wig care or styling. I didn't know how to sew. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing. So jumping into a field that was extremely artistically inclined like this and just hoping for the best, the one thing that I kept to heart the most was it will never get any worse than this. It's always going to be terrible when you first start out, but you learn from your mistakes and it can only get better from here. So if you make something and you're not happy with how it worked out, you learn something from it and you can always get better at it.
Thank you, because that's definitely something that I see a lot of people get frustrated. If you stick with it, if you reach out to other people in the cosplay community, if you ask those questions, don't be afraid to go up to somebody and say, oh my God, I love your cosplay. Do you have a minute to just advise me on how to do better styling in my wig or something? I have not met a single cosplayer that doesn't immediately jump at that chance to talk to somebody. So thank you for
I certainly reached out to a lot of people and asked questions, and then I ended up becoming the person who people asked questions to. So it's a continuous cycle. Student becomes the teacher and then onwards again.
Yeah. So, Tomisina, something that I think you could definitely advise people on. People love to cosplay, but people also love capturing that image, right? Whether it's a group shot or an individual shot, it's that, that stance of the character or the thing. What's some advice you could give to people for, bettering their display for the photo booth, for the stage? What makes for a good photo opportunity? I know you can make magic with anything, but some things are big and shadowy and clunky, and it just doesn't.
Really just don't be uncomfortable. Just relax and pretend you're that character that you're cosplaying for the camera. Don't think that, oh, I'm myself and people are watching me. Be like, no, I'm Elsa and I'm going to take those pictures, the hands up and everything, Also, if you're planning on coming to the photo booth, it's fine if you're in line and you're Googling your character.
Yeah.
Like to see poses and stuff like that. I mean, half the time if I don't know an anime character, I'm like, hey, Serena, can you Google this so we can get some more poses and really get this character to show?
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
do research and help you out at the photo booth.
And
And
if they're
besides,
like,
don't even worry about not looking nice. You could wear a literal garbage bag and she'd still make you look like a goddess.
oh, thank you. But we had a cosplayer that was doing Blood Rain in a full latex outfit. And right before we took pictures,
It ripped.
seam, a very important seam, just ripped. So we had some duct tape and we taped her together and her pictures looked awesome because we didn't see the duct tape side. So it's all about how you pose and just have fun.
And I guess some of that is get to
Filming.
the photo booth early.
Yeah, that too.
Earlier the better.
I know that especially some of these characters that are so, I need to figure out how to better cool even normal costumes that don't have a lot of bulk or fur or size to it, but I need to get better at not passing out inside of it as I've been wont to do in my. So, Shara, what advice could you give? Coming up, obviously, you started at a younger age, cosplay. But what's some advice you could give to people on just finding their groove?
Yeah, I came up in the no man's land of 2008, and I think
I was
there
10.
was. I'm old. It's okay. And what I think
just real
really
quick,
makes a
real quick.
difference.
Oh, sure. Okay, now, thank you. Okay, thank you. Says the guy with all
And
the
I
gray.
appreciate it.
I watched everybody cringe when I said that.
Anyways, you were saying.
That I think at that time there wasn't quite as much information as easily accessible, but there really is a lot out there you can find, whether at any sort of experience level. You can look up patterns. I participated with some friends in making Harry Potter themed Kentucky Derby hats, and I thought, how would I make a witch hat when I can't go to Joann's and get more supplies? What do I have? I have felt, and you can just find all of these resources. I think just even a very strangely worded Google search will get you something, and it will
Possibly
really help
get you fired
grow.
from work if it's that.
I mean, be careful. But that's a great resource, as well as social media. There's a lot of folks I know who put a lot of hard work into their costumes, and they post Instagram stories with their tutorials and things and save those. You can reference that later if you think, wow, I'd love to do that someday, and just hold on to that information. But on the flip side of that, I'd also like to say that cosplay really is something that's for everyone, and that skill level or something like that I don't think is necessarily the most important part. I know that my first costume was 3 times the size I was because I was ordering from some random website from China, and I didn't know how to convert inches to centimeters, and both my legs fit in one pants leg of the thing that I'd ordered, right? Just kind of have to make things work sometimes. You make those mistakes. And I still got compliments. People were like, oh yeah, I love that show. I like that character. And it's just a really great environment to be in. So I think people who sometimes shy away from closet cosplays or things that aren't, you know, an exact representation of what a character looks like, and they think that that's not acceptable, I would say that's absolutely not the case. Do whatever you want. Zatanna wasn't covered in sequins, but here I am, you know, just have fun with it.
And I greatly appreciate that as well. Tomisina, on that point?
I completely agree. The same with photography. If you don't think you look exactly perfect, you know, get the poses down. In your head, you're this character. In my head, you're this character. We got you.
Also,
And
Photoshop is helpful.
not in my skill set, but absolutely. I also just really enjoy, you mentioned cosplaying with the group, the DC Bombshells. You talked about Punk Sailor Moon and you were Punk Saturn. I personally love those takes on well-known characters or characters that maybe I'm familiar with from being involved in the Comic-Con culture. But I also really appreciate if you are going to Fire Emblem or some of these other things that I'm not as familiar with, because I tell people this one story about this one young kid. It was at a con in Charlotte, and I asked him, I said, I like your cosplay, who you cosplay. It's before I really knew what One Piece was, and he was, you know, cosplaying the main character from One Piece, and he was just so excited about his explanation, and I'm talking like a 7 or 8-year-old kid who was just excited about it. I went and became a fan and watched One Piece. So that ability to introduce, like you said, Shara, cosplays for everyone. It's also, you know, it exposes people to fandoms that maybe they don't get to do, and that's why I like and love big cons like Fayetteville, like Galaxy Con, like NC Comic Cons, where I know Tomisina does photography for, because you get to learn new things. I mean, exposed to new characters. What's the favorite cosplay, to finish off this thing, that you've seen recently, not one of your own, but that just blew you away maybe at the last con you were at? Start with Shara.
I know some folks who do some great Harry Potter cosplays. They're a married couple, Haley and Michael Barson, and they did a male Beauxbaton student uniform and a female Durmstrang student's uniform. And it was just absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship was really great. It was a really interesting take because it's something that probably exists in the realm that people have invented of Harry Potter, but not something anyone actually saw. So they had to sort of come up with this on their own, but you could really envision it in the setting, and it was super great. I love them.
Awesome. Tomisina?
See, it wasn't at a con. You mean recently?
Yeah, just, well.
It was on TikTok, because us millennials are on TikTok now. It was the like candy shop thing where they have the
oh, I know
light and pull it over, and there's this girl and she had like a lollipop or whatever, and she did the thing. She brought the ring light up, and it was Ursula, and it was like, I literally went, wow. And I stopped and I went and got my fiance and I was like, look at this. And he was like, oh my gosh, wow. So yeah, okay, it was TikTok, but I'm missing the conventions, so I'm blocking them from my memory.
Understood. And Serena?
I don't even remember which convention this was at or what the last one I went to was, because they're all kind of a blur to me now. But the last time I really felt like super blown away was when I was just casually walking around a con, and then I turned around and then there was Jorgen von Strangle. Oh my God. Cry. And that was like the last time I was
Completely blown away for a cosplay. So she's still blown away. I still believe that Elsa is freezing Serena. She's also brought up Ursula, which is Ariel's #1 antagonist, which steals her voice, by the way. So every time Serena's feet is frozen, I'm blaming it on Tomisina.
Did it freeze on my face with my mouth wide open? Because that's pretty.
You were like this.
You're just like. I froze.
As long as my audio still goes, I don't care if it freezes.
Yeah. So while we still have just a little bit of good feed from you, one more time, your social media contacts, we'll also put them in the feeds. You'll all give them to me on that chat, and I'll make sure that they get up with this video. Serena.
I am Awkward Turtle Cosplay on Instagram and Facebook, but Instagram is my primary social media website.
Tomisina, how do we find you?
Tomisina Lynn Photography on Facebook. It's TD Lynn Photography on Instagram. I didn't want to make everybody spell that name out. Sorry. And my website is www.tomisinalynphotography.com, where you can find all the cons that I've done for the past few years.
And available for bookings and stuff. I'm if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
So we'll make sure that we get that link up. And Shara.
I am Red Penguin Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, but mostly Instagram.
Awesome. And I am Keith Gibbs, co-producer of Fayetteville Comic-Con. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you three at the next physical show that we could do, which hopefully is going to be October 17th and 18th at the Crown Expo Center. We will still be together, even if we're 6 feet apart. But I'd like to thank you all again for joining me here. Look for some of this feed coming up as promos to our Fayetteville Comic-Con live event on Saturday, June 27th from 4 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing that so we can get some West Coast things where we have some great voice actors. Veronica Taylor, original voice of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, as well as Megan Hollingshead, who was the voice for Nurse Joy, is also a voice actress for characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Bleach. We had Gigi Edgley. I did a pre-interview with Jake the Snake Roberts. We have Michael Copon, the Blue Power Ranger from Power Rangers in Space. Just some amazing guests, as well as a bunch of local creators and amazing cosplayers. So ladies, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.